Hey y'all, Dixie here. Today I want to talk to you about one of the most common questions I'm asked, and probably all thru hikers are asked, and that's how in the world do you afford to thru hike? This is basically going to be a two-part answer for me because I prepared for the AT and the PCT in two different ways financially. And then I'll also mention, just some lifestyle choices that make it easier to be able to thru hike, but I'll get into that later. Let's go ahead and get started. In 2015, I started my Appalachian Trail thru hike, and I had never been on an overnight backpacking trip before. I didn't start buying my gear until February, and I really had to do a balance of cost, the weight of the gear, the quality of the gear. I didn't have the best, most expensive, most ultralight gear, but the gear I had was good and it did work. So how did I afford all of it? How did I afford the gear and the 6-month stint out in the wilderness? Well, I cashed in on my retirement and I put my student loans on hold. I pared down all of my expenses, so I got rid of any kind of subscriptions or Amazon Prime, any of that. I don't watch TV, so I already didn't have cable or any of that, but I also got rid of my truck insurance. I sold some things that I had, like extra pieces of furniture, just anything I didn't want. Any way that I could, I tried to save up some money and get rid of things that I didn't need. Now, even though I put my student loans on hold, I still had expenses while I was gone. I had the utilities at my house, and I had my cell phone bill, other expenses, trail expenses. And then while I was on trail, I made a point to really enjoy it because this was like a once-in-a-lifetime experience. But I also tried to make sure, to be conscious of my budget. So I split rooms with people when I could. I bought really cheap and unhealthy food the whole time. And I just made sure that while I was in town, I was careful to not just overspend on things that I didn't need to. I would say, I fell into the average category as far as expenses go on trail. So the ATC estimates that people will spend about $1,000 per month if they're on the trail. And I was on trail a little over 6 months, and I spent about a little over $6,000, while on trail. Now, you can do it for a whole lot cheaper than that, and you could spoil yourself and do it, a lot more expensive than that. But again, I thought this was like my once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and, I made myself comfortable while I was out there. And when I started my AT thru hike, Homemade Wanderlust, this channel was born. And it started off as, a documentation of my journey because, I had no prior backpacking experience, and I wanted to show people hey, if I can do this, you can too. And I wanted my family and friends to be able to see yeah, she's still alive and this is what she's doing. So once I got done with the trail, I had a tiny little bit of cushion left, but I pretty much had to hit the ground running when I got home and start working. I had some opportunities to get back into the engineering world, but, I just wasn't sure that I was ready for that yet. I had gotten a taste of freedom while out on the trail and learned what it was like to, narrate my life, to create my life and design my life how I wanted to live it, and I just wasn't ready to give that up. I liked having flexibility of my own schedule, and so I just decided before I jump into another career, I really want to make sure that that's what I want. So I started working just a bunch of part-time jobs to get some money. I was working at an outdoor store, I was substitute teaching, I was bartending and waitressing, I was doing insurance inspections. Once I finished my thru hike, the channel only had about 3,000 subscribers, but on top of all of these part-time jobs, I was still putting content out on the channel, and it really started transforming into an information portal for people who were just getting into backpacking and hiking. And in addition to all the part-time jobs and the channel, I also started a microgreens business because I thought, being an entrepreneur would be a lot more rewarding than just, working for somebody else from 8 to 5. My microgreens business started growing, and I was selling to, local restaurants and at farmers markets and things like that, but the channel really started to pick up too. So I finally came to a crossroads, and I was like, what do I want to do? Do I want to start this business and put roots down here? Or while I still have my freedom, do I want to go hike another trail? And I started to see that as a real possibility. And I decided I can have a microgreens business anywhere. I could move to another town, another state, whatever, and do, a business for anything really. But I didn't know that I was always going to be healthy enough to get out and hike another long distance trail, or maybe something in life would happen to where that wasn't as much of a priority anymore. So I decided, in 2017 that I wanted to thru hike the Pacific Crest Trail. So after I decided, I'm going to hike the PCT in 2017, oh my God, how am I gonna make the money to do that? Yes, I was working like all these different jobs. I mean, I was doing everything but sleeping, but I wasn't sure that that was gonna be enough. And I realized I needed to focus on some passive forms of income. So the first thing I did was write an ebook about how to prepare to hike the Appalachian Trail. I was getting all of these questions in about, where do you sleep and how do you treat your water? And I decided, if I had had an outlet that had all of this stuff in one spot, it would have been really useful when I was preparing to hike the AT. So I thought, I'll go ahead and create what I think would be a good resource for people who are preparing to hike. And then it would also be some form of income for me to help me get out there on the PCT. It's not like I knew what I was doing when I was self-publishing. It's not like I knew what I was doing when I decided to write a book, but I was like, I know this topic. I got out there and saw everything firsthand, so why can't I provide this information? And if you want to know how to do anything these days, you can find it online. So I learned all about self-publishing, and I decided I was going to make it happen, and I did. In addition to putting out the ebook, I became a member of Amazon Affiliates, and I created an Amazon wish list. Now, I learned about both of these things through my subscribers, and your subscribers will take care of you, so thank y'all. But anyway, Amazon Affiliates is basically just a program where you can sign up and people shop through your affiliate links, and then you get supported for whatever you're doing. So in my instance, through hiking the PCT. So basically they just get on there, do their normal shopping like they would, and a certain percentage goes to your fund. Now, just a tip for anyone who's thinking like, oh, I'm gonna start an Amazon affiliate account and then just go share all these random links, and that's just not a good idea, and can ruin your credibility. I never personally share any item that I haven't myself used or seen used successfully. I wouldn't just get on there and share a bunch of junk. And honestly, a lot of times I don't even put out affiliate links. I just tell y'all, if you want to support this channel, you can shop through Dixie AZ, which will, redirect you to Amazon. Now, the Amazon wish list is just basically something that can be used for family members that are, shopping for each other for Christmas presents or whatever. But I had several folks suggest that I set one up for my gear, and I thought, surely nobody would want to get on there and purchase anything, gear related for me to take on the PCT, but I was wrong. A lot of people came forward and showed some interest, and I did have a lot of my gear purchased for me for the PCT. And the great thing about that is, I'm able to say, like, I am not sponsored by a certain company. I don't have, somebody that I feel obligated to give good reviews on or anything like that. I pick the gear that I want, and I use the gear, that I prefer because it's good gear, not because, somebody suggested like, hey, we'll pay you X amount of dollars if you'll use this. And finally, I am registered with Patreon. So Patreon is basically just a platform for content producers. So you have to be putting out, either blogs or videos or songs, some kind of content. And then your biggest supporters can get on there and pledge a certain amount to you, either, like per piece of content or monthly. And mine is set up for monthly. So through all these passive forms of income and just honestly working my butt off with all these part-time jobs, I was able to get out on the PCT last year. And for the CDT, I'm basically doing the same thing. I'm working part-time, not quite as much as I was before. And I'm putting more focus on creating content, and I'm working on a PCT prep book. And eventually I'd actually like to, write down the stories of each trail. It's taken a lot of time and effort to build these things. It's not something that happened overnight. When I finished the Appalachian Trail, my channel only had 3,000 subscribers, and now, I'm a little over 70,000. So those are the ways that I was able to fund each hike. But the things that stay constant in my life are my lifestyle choices. I live very much below my means. I don't have fancy nice things, I don't keep up with the latest fashion trend. I mean, honestly, I still have clothes from high school that have holes in them. I care more about making memories and having adventures than stuff. I drive the same old 1997 Toyota Tacoma that I've had since 2004. That's 13 years in Old Tanya. I live in a very small old house. I borrow my sister's sweater, and I wear Dollar General sunglasses. I try not to go out to eat a lot. I cook at home a lot. It really is a lifestyle change. It's kind of like, folks will go on these fad diets and lose a bunch of weight, or, they can just make a lifestyle change and become healthy and exercise, and, they're a lot better off. So basically it's the same thing, rather than just going crazy and saving up a bunch of money and then going and spending it all. I just really try to minimize how much I spend by the way that I live my life. And also, I'm not married and I don't have kids. Now, that's not to say that people who are married and have children can't get out and adventure. I mean, in fact, I know that that's not true. In 2015, I met an awesome family, 5 kids, 2 parents that were out there through hiking the Appalachian Trail, and I still keep in touch with them. They're an amazing people that do awesome things with their children. And then also in 2017, there was a couple who through hiked the AT with their baby Ellie. So what I'm trying to say is it basically comes down to will and priorities. Where there's a will, there's a way. And I decided that the Triple Crown was a huge priority in my life and that I wanted to get out there and make it happen. And for me to do that, I had to have like a complete lifestyle change. I just had to change up everything. So I wish I could tell you that there was some easy, simple way to fund a thru hike. But basically, I think it all just boils down to, how much effort are you willing to put into something to make it happen? Because things worth having generally do take a lot of time and effort, and you just got to get out there and believe in yourself and make it happen. If y'all have any questions about anything that I talked about today, I'll be happy to answer those questions. Just leave them in the comments below. Thank y'all so much for watching and supporting me and believing in me. It has meant so much to me over the past couple of years, and I just couldn't have done it without y'all. Thanks again, and we will see y'all next time.